There is no EU ambassador in Tanzania today because Ambassador Roland van der Geer was kicked out, was declared persona non grata in November. And the ambassador was declared persona non grata because for too long he did not shut his mouth up on the abuses that have been going on in Tanzania, and they eventually got rid of him. So as a result, the EU is now reviewing its entire relationship with Tanzania, and not just EU as a bloc. The member states are also reviewing their relations with Tanzania. The United States has put on hold substantial assistance to Tanzania because of these concerns. Now, the issue is this: over 50% of our development budget every year comes from the donor community, comes from the international community. If you listen to the political rhetoric coming out of Dar es Salaam, all these countries, Americans, Europeans, everybody, you are imperialists. We are going back to the language of the 60s and 70s. You are all imperialists. These are countries that do not wish us well. Now, these also are countries that provide over 50% of our development budget every year, and they have done so for a very long time. Now, my view is, and my position has always been very clear, the international community has a choice with regard to President Magufuli. Number one, because he is intent on destroying democracy, he is intent on turning us into a command economy of the 60s and 70s, he is intent on destroying the gains that have been made over the past 3 decades. You have two choices. You either continue to bankroll him, and he loves it. Every time he gets somebody from the US or Europe or whatever, he says, see, they approve of me and my policies. So continue bankrolling a dictatorship, continue subsidizing this attack on human rights and democracy, or send a message loud and clear that if you're going to destroy democracy, if you're going to kill innocent civilians and you don't want your policemen and women to be held to account, do it, sir, but not with our money. Not with our money. You will be called imperialists, you will be called all sorts of names. We have, as a country, we have obligations to the world. We have signed up to international human rights treaties of all sorts. We have declared to the world that we will respect human rights, that we will not kill innocent civilians, that we will not have extrajudicial killings, that we will respect democracy and human rights. Those are our obligations to the world. If we don't discharge our responsibilities to the world has no business giving us a penny of their money. So those are the two choices. You subsidize these government of disappearances and abductions and killings, or you stand up and say, not with our money. The international community has done it before. In the 80s, in the dark days of apartheid regime in South Africa, when, I'm sorry, I don't want to ruffle any feathers, but when President Reagan was unwilling to impose economic sanctions on South Africa, universities across this country, and eventually the Congress overrode President Reagan's veto and imposed sanctions on apartheid South Africa. And that hastened the end of apartheid.